Hey everybody, it's Jason with Unpacked Games, and today we're going to be taking a look at my top 10 crowdfunded games arriving in 2021. To start off the list, we're going to be taking a look at Zombicide 2nd Edition, published by Cool Mini or Not. This game, originally, the campaign ended in November of 2019, so technically it missed the cutoff from 2020. However, the delivery estimate was originally for November of 2020. Considering it's April right now, we can basically say that this game is late. However, all things being considered equal with COVID-19 and the sort of international shipping problems that have been happening all year, I think it's pretty much understood that it's not too bad. The latest update from them indicates that it looks like everything is looking good. All of the games have been packed up, and it sounds like they've already started being shipped. So you can probably expect to see this one on the channel probably within this month. So if you're not familiar with Zombicide, it's pretty much the standard zombie-based tabletop game. There's been, a number of different versions along the way. This is just a 2nd edition, so basically it has kind of all new art, minis, updated rules, and some new expansions. When this campaign originally ran, it did quite well, ending out pretty much at 3.4 million, so that's pretty good. At the time, I picked the reboot pledge for $100, which basically includes the core box, promotional survivor, and a bunch of the stretch goals that were in here. I could have gone higher and added a bunch of expansions, but I didn't, although I'm trying to remember if I might have added them later via the pledge manager. I can't recall, but I definitely didn't go with the all out. You can see here, it's going to be pretty much your standard, what you'd kind of come to expect from like the new wave of Kickstarter games, tons and tons of minis. It looks like 167 here listed. We've got some of the super large ones for the monsters and the bosses, and then we've got a lot of player minis. There's also these additional expansion packs that were included with this campaign. And yeah, so that's Zombicide coming in at number 10. Next on our list, at number 9, we've got Deep Space D6 Armada. This is published by Towleader Games. This campaign originally ended right at the beginning of 2020 in January, and had a delivery estimate of October of 2020. This game is also late. However, again, pretty much any game that I'm marking late on here is getting a pass because of everything that kind of happened with 2020. This game is a brand new standalone multiplayer sequel to the original Solitaire Deep Space D6. So this is kind of like a brand new game. And one of the cool things is during the campaign, after it had ended, one of the updates that came out from the creator was that they were basically going to add an option of getting the original Deep Space D6 by adding it to your pledge. So I definitely jumped on that right away because one of the things I've found is that it's kind of been notoriously difficult to find the original game. So I was kind of hoping that would become a thing in this campaign. So I'm pretty glad to see that it worked out. As you can see here, this game is pretty much, for 1 to 4 players. It's a fully cooperative game. So I'm not quite sure if I don't think the solo mode is going to be multi-handed. I think there's actually a true solo mode included. Again, looking forward to this one. Latest updates, like I said, seems like things are moving along quite nicely for this game. This wasn't a huge blockbuster, but this game has got a pretty loyal fan base. So I, for $48, I just jumped right in. Next up on our list, we've got Final Girl, published by Van Ryder Games. Final Girl is a highly thematic horror solo game, kind of reminiscent of your classic 80s slasher films. So right away, I was hooked on this game simply by the art style and the aesthetic and the theme. Growing up in that era, I'm a huge fan of these kind of movies. So seeing this game, I was pretty much hooked right away. Also, for the price at the time, I had pledged just the $35 for basically the feature presentation, which is just the core box. But then as I followed the updates and I saw the work that they were doing along the way and the add-ons that they were adding, I pretty much went back to my pledge manager and bumped it up to the all-in, which includes, I didn't do fully all-in, I did full fright, which is basically the core box and all of the additional feature film boxes. I didn't opt for the 3D version, which basically just includes additional minis, because I felt like for this game, it pretty much just wasn't necessary, and I kind of felt like it was just going to add to setup. So again, that's just me. That's kind of, it can go either way depending on your opinion. But yeah, so this game, it looks very cool. I really like the idea that it was purely a solitaire based game and a solo game. So again, definitely looking forward to this one. This campaign originally ended in May of 2020 with a delivery estimate of May of 2021. So technically this game is still on track. I believe last time I saw in the updates, again, it indicated that everything is moving along nicely. They included updates on the production process, where they're at, and the one thing they had to do was kind of go back and do an update to their shipping charges. So I recently just completed that sort of additional step in the Pledge Manager to make sure I went and actually paid for the shipping, because if you haven't done that, that's very important. And yeah, so that's pretty much Final Girl, coming in at number 8. Next up, we've got Roll Camera, the filmmaking board game. This is at number 7. This game, the original campaign ended in August of 2020. And again, this one's got a delivery estimate of June of 2021. So this one is on track. The creator of this game has posted a number of pretty cool videos to their YouTube channel, kind of showing the progress of the game and the packaging and where they're at. And they have also got some tutorial videos on how to play. But this game is basically, what hooked me on this was the aesthetics and the concept. I mean, I really enjoy the hand-drawn art style, and I really enjoy the concept of being able to, the way this game works is where you're basically creating a movie on the fly. I thought that was pretty interesting, and it's sort of unique and unlike anything. My original pledge for this was the crew member, which is basically just the standalone game for $49. To me, it seemed like a very reasonable price, and it basically includes everything that you would see here. And I don't think this game had too many options in the way of add-ons. Most of the higher pledge amounts are for basically just support. So you're getting your name in the book or on the box or something like that. And then some options for, I think, like this one here, this high executive producer level, you get a free, a physical prototype of the game, which is pretty cool. So these are kind of like just super collector's editions, but there's nothing really, I think, extra on here that would have been worth, other than if you wanted to just pledge more to show your support. So again, this is Roll Camera, the filmmaking board game, coming in at number 7. Next up, we've got Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island, the Raw and Right. For this one, for me, I went just for Dinosaur World. I was a fan previously of Dinosaur Island, and to me this just seemed like a kind of an obvious no-brainer. Dinosaur World is published by Pandasaurus Games. This campaign ended somewhat recently in October of 2020, and it actually has an aggressive delivery estimate of July 2021. So far as I can tell, looking at the updates, it's on track. If they're a little late, it can be forgiven, considering everything that's going on with shipping. I don't know if you know, but international shipping right now is kind of a bit of a nightmare. And most of the campaigns that I've been following and awaiting updates and deliveries for have just been sort of overly apologetic with how bad trying to deal with international shipping has been the past 6 months or so. So again, it can be understood. For this game, I pledged the $70 level for the Dinosaur World Savage Edition, which is effectively just the board game with the unlocked stretch goals. I didn't do anything extra, so I didn't add on, the double feature for more, which includes both the Dinosaur World and the Dinosaur Island Raw and Right. For me, the Raw and Right version just kind of wasn't super appealing to me, so I kind of just went with the base game, basically just to get in on the game and get it early through Kickstarter. You can see here the components for this game. The quality is top notch. I kind of enjoy having sort of dinosaur meeples as a part of the game, so that's pretty cool. Next up, we are looking at number 5, Stars of Ikarios, which formerly was known as Starlight. So originally when the game showed up on Kickstarter, it was just known as Starlight, and then after the campaign ended, they actually sent a note via an update saying that they were going to be changing the name, and I believe that was both through some internal dialogue amongst the creators and struggling with, I think, having a somewhat generic name like Starlight, which I think was causing some conflicts potentially with totally unrelated projects named Starlight. So this game, the campaign originally ended in April of 2020 and had a delivery estimate of originally August of 2021. However, a recent update Just the other day, they indicated that they're going to be delayed until October, and that delay is based solely on quality control with the components, them constantly doing some back and forth and revisions with the fulfillment company that they're working with on how those components are being made. So, in the end, they apologize, but they really want to just get everything right. They've been doing some balancing, and they want all of the pieces to be perfect. So certainly can't blame them for that. This game is effectively an epic space, I guess, skirmish kind of game. So if you're into anything that's even remotely similar to like Mass Effect or anything like that, if you're like me, that's exactly why I immediately backed this game. Visually, I love everything about it. The gameplay elements and components look really well done. I've been following the creators on YouTube, and they're regularly playing sessions via Tabletop Simulator, so that's really neat. Again, with this one, I went with pretty much the all-in Starlight Institute, which is, I believe, was the all-in at the time. This includes the core box, the miniatures expansion, and of course all the unlocked stretch goals and the app that they're going to have available post-launch. I think the only other thing that became an add-on, so I didn't actually go for the all-in because this all-in is not a gameplay all-in, so it includes things like an art book and stuff like that. I did wind up adding the neoprene mat via the pledge manager, just because I'm a sucker for neoprene mats, I'm going to be honest, and as soon as I saw it, I just pretty much added it to the campaign. Here you can kind of see what it looks like here. This is, I think, the base cardboard edition. The neoprene mat is just, obviously a nicer version of that. And yeah, so that's pretty much, you can see the components here, and if you're interested in kind of a high level what the gameplay looks like, I strongly recommend you check out their YouTube channel so you can watch some gameplay sessions. I believe they've come in at around an hour or so each. This is Stars of Icarios, formerly Starlight, coming in at number 5. Next up, at number 4, we've got Into Deep by Burnt Island Games. This campaign ended in October of 2020 and has a delivery estimate of September 2021. So far as I know, they are currently on track. I believe their last update as of a few days ago literally says that their progress status is perfect, quote unquote. The pledge that I originally went with was the Into Deep Kickstarter game edition, which effectively is just the game and all of the stretch goals. The only other edition that you could back at the time was the brick and mortar retailers edition. So there wasn't really an option here for anything other than just, do you want to back the Kickstarter game or not? Which I kind of like, because for me it takes away all the stress of the decision making on which level to do and all that stuff. The thing about this game is I absolutely love the art style and the theme. Next to, as I had previously said, anything that's kind of space or Mass Effect-esque, the next thing that I'm going to almost instantly back is anything kind of cyberpunk related, and this game is pretty much right up in that genre. The Kickstarter edition here includes a custom box treatment. I believe they might be doing game trays inserts, which is nice, and it also includes miniatures. Let me see if I can find the miniatures here. So these are the standees for the retail pack, which in and of themselves are very nice. But then if we go down to the Kickstarter edition, you can see here are the criminal miniatures, and also custom bases for the player characters. And those are pretty cool because your equipment can kind of slot into the bases and things like that. It's generally just kind of a more deluxe package for the Kickstarter edition. Coming in at number 3, we've got ISS Vanguard by Awaken Realms. Now, ISS Vanguard was one of the first games to kind of launch on the GameFound crowdfunding website. So originally GameFound, I believe, was just like a pledge manager site. So most of the time after you finish backing a game on Kickstarter, you'd wind up at either GameFound or CrowdOx or BackerKit or something like that to actually pay for the game and complete your pledge. But Awaken Realms has basically been working on GameFound as a crowdfunding website for a couple of years now, and I believe their primary goal was basically to address all of the shortcomings of Kickstarters. And to that end, in my personal opinion, I think they succeeded. There's a lot of things they do really well on this website. The other thing is that they've been working on ISS Vanguard for a number of years, and they've basically been using this game as their kind of test case for building and prototyping and ultimately getting ready to launch this game found service website. So ISS Vanguard has been around for a long time. Probably you've heard of it in one way or another. Again, it's going to be another one of those epic campaign games along the lines of like a Gloomhaven or something, but this is going to be very familiar to people that are into games like Mass Effect. You can see it's did very, very well, basically came in nearly 5 million. The campaign ended in January of 2022 and has a delivery estimate of not January 2020. Yeah, and the delivery estimate is August of 2022, so same year. Presumably, the only way they're going to be able to pull that off is because the game's nearly finished. Judging from the prototypes that I've seen from most of the YouTubers that have covered it, it looks like it's pretty close. You can see by these pictures, the components are super high quality. The miniatures are very high quality. The big thing about this game that kind of turned people off and kind of it's pretty split is how the most of the game is packaged via a binder. Most of what you're doing when you're playing is pages in this binder. So whether it's character upgrades or ship upgrades or missions or anything like that, you're pretty much leafing through a giant binder as you're playing. So based on this, just the volume of content that's included in the game, I feel like that's probably the best that they could do in order to make it manageable. I personally have no problem with it. This game, like I said, was huge, was very highly anticipated. People were very excited about it. So it's no surprise that it did so well when it finally came time to be crowdfunded. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Coming in at number 2, we've got the Hunters AD 2114. This is a second printing and includes some new expansions. This is a cooperative board game for 1 to 4 players. Takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. This is going to be, again, kind of like a skirmish-based game where you're playing cooperative, but, you can play solo. And, there's a lot of, there's a bunch of miniatures in this game. There's a lot of equipment and upgrades and sort of RPG-esque character development, all taking place in a post-apocalyptic kind of wasteland. So you can see here, all of the components have a lot of gritty rust to them. A lot of the guns are kind of upgrade kits are kind of DIY, and everything kind of feels like it's scrapped together. This game kind of reminds me of, Gloomhaven, just set in a futuristic kind of wasteland. So, for me, again, it was purely thematic, kind of what hooked me right away. On this game, I pretty much went gameplay all in on this one. I believe I originally backed it at just the core game, and then when the Pledge Manager came out, I bumped it up to all in. And the all in includes sleeves for pretty much every card, of which there's a couple hundred, I think. It includes these additional expansions, and you can see if we go down here, there's a big box of minis, so that's actually considered separate. Some special custom dice, and then, like I said, the card sleeves for all the various sized cards. This campaign ended in May of 2020, and it had a delivery estimate of February of this year, 2021. So it's late. I believe the creator recently in an update apologized, but again, due to COVID-19 and just kind of the international shipping crisis, as I mentioned before, it's certainly understandable why this game was late. However, being that it's only been 2 months so far, I'm not too worried that it's going to be much longer. Definitely looking forward to this one. Can't wait to unbox this one and take a look and start diving into the rulebook and just kind of, figuring out how to play. And last but not least, we have what is my most anticipated game coming in at number 1, which is Townsfolk Tussle. This game recently ended in November of 2020. It's published by Panic Roll, which I believe is a first-time publisher, so this is their first game on Kickstarter. The delivery estimate for this game is September of this year, 2021. So far, so good. They're on track. Their updates have been good. I came in at the Nimble Local pledge, which basically was the early bird pledge. The early bird for this game actually literally lasted, I think, 1 hour. And I was lucky because before this game went live, I had discovered it. I can't remember how, but I wound up in the Discord for that the creators had hosted for this game, and it was really neat being able to interact with the creators and follow along as they prepared for the Kickstarter campaign to go live. And it was very exciting to just sort of be a part of that. As far as the game is concerned, this game has been considered kind of like Kingdom Death Monster Light. It's basically a cooperative slash competitive boss battle style game. So you're playing with your friends to ultimately defeat, I think, up to 4 bosses per session. However, you're sort of competing in the sense for resources. So between each round, you kind of go through a shop, a marketplace, and you buy equipment upgrades and things like that. So you're basically fending for yourself, but ultimately you need to work together in order to get past each boss. The thing with this game, if it's not obvious just right off the bat, is just the stunning art style. It's got very much that like Cuphead old style cartoon art to it. They even released at one point, I think in one of their updates, a playlist on Spotify of that sort of old-timey music that you would pretty much kind of imagine you would be hearing when you're playing this game. And they basically recommended listening to that playlist while you play. There is a demo version of the game up on Tabletop Simulator if you want to check it out. But for me, the art style, the play mechanics, everything about this game just screams character and attention to detail. I've loved all of the updates that the creators have been providing, all of the stretch goals that they had. They were really well done. You can tell that this was their first Kickstarter, so I don't think they were anticipating the success that they were actually going to have. Because if we look here, you can see they came in at around $436,000. So I believe the original goal was like $50,000 or something. But once all of the stretch goals got hit, you could tell by the end they pretty much hit their limit, and they had basically achieved everything they were hoping and could possibly hope for. So it's not like we're missing out. I think everything that they included is great. They didn't go in for extra bells and whistles or add-ons or anything like that. They were really passionate about making sure that everything fits in the box the way they originally envisioned. The one thing to make note is they will be including game trays with the box with this. So that's part of their other thing is they, with the game trays, they want to make sure everything fits perfectly. One of their latest updates, they included an animation of what the game trays will look like, and it's really well done. One thing that people were kind of clamoring for is we've got these wooden tokens for their currency, and people were at the time were so excited about the game, they were like, we should get some premium upgrades with the coins and things like that. But again, the creators just didn't want to kind of lose sight of what their goal was, which is to just deliver a quality game that they knew that they could do well, and they didn't want to get sucked into kind of buying into their own hype and kind of overdoing it with add-ons. So I really appreciated that. Here we can kind of see a list of some of the stretch goals, which is basically just adding additional cards. So presumably these were always going to be added. The one thing they did, which was pretty neat in the first 24 hours, I think, was basically had a community created heroes pack. I forget what they actually called it, but they kind of did a poll, and then they basically picked winners, and those winners became cards that are officially going to be included in the game. So that's pretty cool too. So that's my last pick. Coming in at number 1 is Townsfolk Tussle by Panic Roll. Again, this is just my personal top 10 list of games that I'm very excited for, that I originally backed pretty much in 2020, and I'm expecting to arrive in 2021. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.